Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to Roadwarden and the kind of weird vibes of creeks. It's strange here, right? Maybe it's just Ayla and Ephron who are strange, but no, it's definitely not. It's the people in the river and the fact that there's only one old person as far as we can tell, and they seem very uncomfortable with our presence, and I don't know, something about this place is just giving me something about this place is giving me specifically like a weird folk horror feeling. And maybe that's the source of it. Maybe it's because I really like folk horror. And so I'm eagerly looking for that vibe perhaps, but I am sensing it. Okay, so we want to keep gathering info about bandits, although it sounds to me from what everybody's saying, like maybe there aren't really any bandits. The what's her name's band doesn't really seem to be causing very much trouble at all. He makes an awkward cut with a chisel and lets out a quiet shit, then starts to rub the plank with his thumb. Bandits, you say? Soldiers from the city have already taken care of them. So he is fully pretending that there are no bandits in the north. He doesn't... Everybody, like, when we asked Foggy was like, listen, most of the bad shit was taken care of by those other people, but I know who you're talking about, and they're not a real problem. This is something else. This is... Alright. We're gonna need to gain everybody's trust, slowly but surely. We got 37 days. What about Asterion? Is Asterion around? He halts his work and looks at you with an exaggerated frown. Well, that's a weird question. You're the first Roadwarden I've seen in, well, this season, I think. Did you check in the western villages? You'll get to Howler's Dell simply staying on the road. His right hand, still holding a tool, is now squeezing his stomach gently. Am I going to be aggressive about this? I mean, I need to press, right? But I'm wondering if maybe I should not worry about this right now. Part of what I'm thinking is I don't want them to turn on me. I don't want the whole village to get mad at me right before nightfall. I guess we're probably... Can I see on the map how long of a ride it would be to get... No. I do not get a timer on how long it would take to get back to Foggy Lake. However, the distance isn't really that great, and it's pretty much just flat land. If worse came, I think we could probably make it back to Foggy Lake before nightfall. I am going to press. Listen, a lot of people have told me Asterion spent time in your village. You're hiding something. He adjusts his shoulder cape and clears his throat with a grunt. People, eh? Well, there's some truth to that, but Asterion isn't here, and we don't know where he is. He took our coins, but for fair labor. He moved wares to other settlements, patrolled the roads, escorted an old woman to a druid and back. Did you know you can get good prices for iron at Howler's Dell, but even better at White Marshes? Seeing your look, he turns away and rests his elbow on his workbench. His plans are his own problem, and I've no reason to believe he wanted to be found. Nor can I help you. That still feels like something's being left out, but we don't have the option to pursue it any further. Nor would I really know how to. This village isn't much older than you are. What's its story? He proudly raises a carving knife and gestures for you to look around. It may be a young village, but there's a lot to say. While his story is bloated with names, relationships, a step-by-step description of the growth of the settlement, and bothersome creatures, you get the gist of it. The settlers arrived here 25 years ago, soon after one of the 10 cities had fallen to the southern invasion. Most of them came from the capital, while some joined along the way. They soon came to realize that none of the villages had enough space or the will to host a few dozen refugees. The folks of Gale Rock used to have a much kinder attitude towards strangers than they do now, and they offered the newcomers to stay at the beach behind their village. Yet there was nothing for them to eat other than what they caught in the salt waters. They soon started their search for a land remote enough to not compete with the locals, and with the help of kind folks from Gale Rocks, White Marshes, Old Pagos, and others, as Ayla vaguely states, they received enough wood and tools to turn a scrap of this plateau into a clearing, then a camp, a hamlet, and finally, a village. I want to sound engaged. I want to be friendly here. Hey, that's fascinating stuff. The tale is assisted by walking around the village, introducing you to the original settlers or their offspring, and showing you some of the treasures displayed in the House of Gatherings. A unicorn's horn found at the heart of the woods, a blue rock that's shaped and hollow like an egg, and is darker inside, an arrow that hit a fright ape in an eye and knocked it down. Behind each of them there are names, stories, and memories. At the very end, Ilal leads you back to his workbench, holding a hand on his conspicuous stomach. To give his throat some rest, he turns the topic around. And what are the folks in Havlavan like, friend? Foggy says there are thousands of souls at the capital, and one can go their entire life still finding new faces in the crowd. Yeah, I mean, that's probably true. It may be so, but it feels lonely because everybody's too busy to share their lives with others. I mean, that's probably true. And it probably feels that way, especially to our character being from a smaller place. These are very chatty responses. Can you imagine 3 entire sentences? It's hard to get to know new people when everyone's so busy. Can easily find groups of people to hang out with. So all of these specifically are like, we're very much hanging on this last statement, not the sort of general question that preceded it. So what is the utility of this answer, I guess? Our character is definitely not someone who just makes small talk. I think the way we've been playing this character so far, it definitely seems like everything said is said with a goal, and I'd like to try to keep being at least that thoughtful. So, like, we want to make Ila feel like this place is better. Maybe feel like we are not so much for life back home. Maybe we're looking for something. So if we're doing that, if we're basically trying to like talk up the experience of being out here, I think that first option's not terrible. This last option's not terrible either. I'm gonna go this way. It may be so, but my city feels lonely. There are many people around, but all of them are too busy with their duties to share their lives with others. He nods. A few years back, we had a visitor who hoped to move in with us, saying they were a stranger in their own land. We agreed, and they departed to Havlavan to pick up their things, but they never came back. He sits down next to his tools. Does this bother you? This loneliness? Yeah, I think so. Very much so. Excuse my hand. So your soul is healthy and close to ours. His eyes and voice are solemn at first, but his bright smile returns quickly. He adjusts his shoulder cloak and asks if you need anything else. Okay, that's like the kind of outcome I was looking for there. I want to make them feel like I'm a person who is like them, like I can be trusted. We're going to come back to this, maybe? The fact that this question is available makes me think that the game is telling us that we've sort of like, we've made our way into his hearts enough. I'm going to try it. I'm going to press. You know, I'm worried about those bandits, Ila. He looks at you for a bit, then nods slowly. Those are not some strangers, but folks of the north, our neighbors. One of them is from our very own tribe, and they don't target us, just strangers. You ask him again if he's sure no one from his village has been targeted so far, and after a cold eye, he reaches for a carving knife. Okay. I've heard you had some issues with the Eastern Path, though. At first, he gives you a bright smile, but then nods with a sigh. Aye. So our issues are so clear that folks gossip on them. I'm glad you came to our help, friend, but it doesn't feel right to admit we need help from an outsider. He stands up slowly, walks away, and leaps over one of the log-made tables and looks for something in the pile of wood. In this part of the land, there's always going to be something to do for a Roadwarden. He straightens up with a piece of charred wood in his hand and comes back to you. As he draws black lines on the workbench, he mentions a few names. Creeks, Foggies, Gale Rock's there, here's the lake. The map is simplistic and doesn't align with your own understanding of local distances, but you follow his description without issue. The path from here to the south is getting too wild for us. He repines, making another few strokes. The merchants travel through the other route, through Howler's Dell, passing by Old Pagos and White Marshes. Once they reach Foggy, they already have full stomachs and many deals closed. And when they travel back, they visit the same places again. Folks already know that trading here takes a long time. So you want me to give them an option to get to you first and move west without backtracking. And to do so all by myself. How exactly? Well, I'm sure you can find some help. He pats his stomach without noticing that he leaves a few black dots on his leather jacket. There's a few things you could do. Follow the eastern road and see if it's clear. Are there any safe shelters left? Any blockades to get rid of? Is there an overgrown path to burn? Maybe see if the road from here to the western crossroads is safe, or if the carts could get through the heart of the woods if you're brave enough. I hope you're a soul with sage judgment. Seeing your puzzled look, he rests his palms on the table with a shy smile. I know I'm vague, but I bet you already know more about these roads than I do, friend. His eyes return to the map, and after a moment of hesitation, he rubs an uneven line with his thumbs. How can you know if I'll be honest with you? He looks at you in silence, then clenches his stomach. I can't, most likely. But the more news you bring us, the farther away from the village our foragers and hunters will be willing to roam. Foggy's boys as well, I expect. Sooner or later, the truth will surface, and I'll advise my tribe to take a lesson from whatever we're about to find. I mean, this is a silly question. I don't think it's worth asking, because, he's already made clear why he wants the eastern route open. Well, where would you like me to start? Go to the shelters set just at the side of the roads. There's a ruined campsite west of Foggy's. He makes a small circle on his map. Or you could go south to a cabin our elders built. He makes a larger square. It's halfway from here to the river. Take a look around, see what's their condition, if there are any beasts around. You can handle a few small creatures, can't you? Probably. So 2 shelters, and then you just want me to take care of anything I find. He laughs, but not with his eyes. Forgive me, friend, but you don't sound like someone with much experience behind them. You're nothing like Asterion. He took pride in his self-reliance. Yeah, you forgot to mention the pay, by the way. That depends on what you're about to do, eh? The tribe has but a few dragons. To confirm his words, he enters the nearby house, from which he picks up an old wooden case, crude in shape and with an unsightly engraving of a 3-headed hydra on its lid. Inside it, you see maybe 24 dragon bones. Let's say you'll get a dragon for any news about cleared or blocked areas, and more if it takes real effort from you. I am not going to choose to be difficult about this. Am I? No, I'm gonna not choose to be difficult about this. I'm going to be friendly. We have a deal. He flashes you a wide smile and pats his stomach. You won't regret this. He then throws away the charred wood, returns to his stool, and looks for his tools. Listen, the shelter in the west is definitely not safe. Better to stay away from it until the dusk foxes move out. Dusk foxes? After he meets your silence, he carries on. I don't know what that is. You describe their looks and the threat they present as Ela observes the clouds, sometimes asking you to explain more. He finally squeezes his cloak and reaches for a coin that's been resting on the workbench. Well, sounds not as dangerous as a tribe of goblins, but it may be better for us to hunt them down in spring. We may need your help then. For now, a single dragon bone will be fair pay for the news. And I'm not gonna get mean about it. I've been to the dolmen in the south. Seems pretty safe. He keeps sculpting wood and asks you about the size and the entrance of the chapel. I've heard it's small, but not that small. Not enough for a group, but maybe a lone traveler without a mount. He looks at you with a smile. Pick a dragon bone from the case, will you? I don't want to stop now. Yeah, I grab a coin. This is like super a trick, right? He knows how many coins are in there. He will know if we've done something. So yeah, I take a coin. Good to see you don't idle around, Roadwarden. Yeah, I'll let you know if I find anything else. Days are getting shorter, eh? Yeah. Dusk approaches quickly. This conversation will be the last thing we do, almost certainly. I imagine being a carpenter in this part of the realm isn't easy. We're gonna press him about other stuff too, but I wanna like ingratiate a little bit more. You have a healthy imagination. He rests his elbow on the workbench and smiles. I have patience, and I'm getting better with tools, and these are some shoddy tools, he says singingly, and it's hard to disagree with him. They've been used for many years, with only the wooden parts being somewhat in shape, since they seem to have been recently replaced. The steel chisels and saws are jagged and dull. The hammers and axes are made of stone. Some of them were brought here by the settlers, and we can't buy any more right now. There's work to be done, but I do have a plan. You ask him to explain, and he's all too eager to do so. Yeah, he likes to hear himself talk. He enters the nearby house and shows you his more successful works, each of which has some shortcomings, noticeable even to a layperson. A bowl engraved with fish was poorly planned, with animals too large to fit into the entire space, and so a part of it is blank. A simple relief of two naked people in their embrace looks almost believable, but the legs are in one case too long and in the other too short. One chair has a broken leg, and the remaining three show that they are a bit too ambitiously shaped and got dangerously thin. The chest seems fine, but equipment sticks out of it, and the man acknowledges that he wrongly estimated the required size. So you want to be an artist? Better. I want to turn pots, cups, weapons, cupboards, everyday stuff into things of beauty. Seeing your look, he pats his stomach. I know I'm far from mastering it, but trust me, these are so much better than the ones I did this winter, and I started only 3 years ago. His pride makes him look even larger, especially in the shoulders. There aren't many carpenters in the peninsula. Folks do things for their own use. But I'll be a specialist. It's the city thing. Foggy told me so. Not just a jointer, but someone who does only a few things, but better than others. Yep, that is what a specialist is. The tribe supports me with food and time, and I'll pay them back with dragon bones. And prettier houses. When he leads you outside, you start to share some of his excitement, but most of it dwindles away after you sit down at his workbench again, on wobbly stools, surrounded by broken planks and crude tools. Well, you know, like, he is trying, right? Hey, it would be great if I had, like, a wooden lantern, one useful for an adventurer, maybe? Dreaming of caves and treasures. He glances at the nearest pile of planks. You know, I should have some glue and leather to spare, but making a lantern would take me half a day, and I've got a lot of sawing ahead. He points at a broken chair behind him with his thumb. If you really need it, friend, you can give it a try. I'll lead you through the difficult steps, but it'll take us almost half a day. Well, I mean, I can't do it right now, but sure, I guess I can, with supervision, make my own lantern. Maybe tomorrow or the day after. We'll see how things turn out here. All right, so I feel like we've made some headway on our relationship with this fellow. I'm gonna press him again. Okay, be serious now, Ila. I need to know what happened to Asterion. He springs up, still holding his tools and demonstrating his threatening physique, and raises his voice. Okay, that's a little bit more aggression than I was expecting. I am serious. I don't know. He looks behind him and even takes a step back, but with every few gestures, his breath gets a bit slower. He said there's something of great value hidden in the wilderness, Roadwarden. A treasure, I think, and that treasure would change the North. He rubs his forearms, but there's still tension in his shell. He needed help we couldn't give him, and he told us to prepare for Glossia and her bandits to come for supplies. He paid for them up front, but she never came. Neither did he. When he sits down again, he doesn't look at you. I never saw him like that before. He was tired and worried, friend. His words lacked confidence. It may very well be that something caught him, but we weren't a part of this. Now, please, let me be. Okay, I mean, that's a huge amount of information. That's super helpful. Yeah, very well. Agro is enjoying the cold stream and green grass to graze on, and welcomes you with a nicker. Ila's done with me for the day. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's talk to old Hava, the farmer. You follow the path between the fields, witnessing a one-sided conversation between old Hava and a barely adult man. She orders him around, pointing at various plants, criticizing the sight of weeds, and addressing the fancy clothes he's wearing. He observes his red-dyed boots and lets out a relieved sigh at your arrival. I better change, he mumbles, heading to the main square. All right, I have provided this man with a chance to get away. The woman spares you a wry glance, then turns away, focused on the struggling vegetables. She's the only person in the village who wears clothes made of plant fabric, but they're weathered and covered with decades-old patches. Her hands, clasped behind her back, are constantly twitching. She seems a little bit less friendly than everybody else here, but I'm still going to approach her this way just because I kind of want to confirm if that is the case. How are you doing? After a moment, she turns to you slowly, chewing her bottom lip. I'm doing my break. Say what you want, and fast. Well, I'm looking for a place to sleep. Now, we need another hut, and we have no space for it. She gazes at you with dry, tired eyes. If you need a scrap of floor, go to the tavern. Okay, what do you have for sale? Well, we sold what we had. We're lacking hunters. And these, she looks at the wrinkled vegetables, will go into a stew if they're even worth picking. Without noticing it, she grabs her left forearm with her right hand, but it doesn't stop the twitching. Now, we always have a fish trap to spare. We make them just in case. A large basket, put it in a creek and wait a day or two until something swims inside. I'll sell you one for 2 dragon bones. It is a little bit of a bummer. Like, I forgot to grab the fish traps when we came back from the dolmen. I was so excited about having found the potion, and it really doesn't seem like it's ever going to be convenient for us to end up back down there. And if you'd rather eat something right away, she carries on after a short pause, our cooks could spare you a roast grouse or a chicken. It'll be cold, but fresh. We always have one. You never know when there are maggots in your supplies, and kids shouldn't skip a meal. You ask her to tell you more, but her patience grows thin. It's the best light roast in the north. We add plenty of spices to it, so it spoils slowly. That's it. Okay, it's weird for me to say this because I clearly know how a fish trap works already, given that we, identified one and how it would work earlier, but sure. Show me how this trap works. Okay, so a spiced whole meal cooked with care for merely 1 coin. What a terrible rate. Alright, I think we're going to do neither of these. Huh. I don't expect many merchants to reach this place. Why don't you move your traps to Foggy's? What's it to you? She doesn't wait for your response. Does her yard look like it has space for nets? Okay, alright. I met some annoying howlers. Do you have any earplugs by chance? Her shoulders flinch. But will that work? They can break the skull of a deaf shell. After you shrug, she looks at one of the farmers who's wearing mouflon fur. You give me something good to eat, and I'll give you a few tufts of thick wool. You put them into your ears, then wear them under a tight hood. I mean, that might work. I don't know that I need them badly enough to, pay for them, you know? I'll think about it. We're never going to be able to come back here. It's not that we're never going to be able to come back here. It's just that, planning to come back places is always tricky, right? Because I can never tell what an efficient path is going to look like from anything that we're doing. And efficiency matters in terms of, maintaining food and being able to have money to afford rooms and stuff. I could trade her. I could trade her. I don't know if it would be better to give her a bone or a one of my rations. And I don't know if we'll need the earplugs again, because the howlers, we already fucked up the rawhide, right? I'm gonna not worry about it right now. Let's see if Efren has anything else for us to say, or anything else to say to us. He's lost in his thoughts. Say, what do you know about the road running through the heart of the forest? I know to avoid it. Blood there. Seeing that you're waiting for a longer tale, he adjusts his heavy cloak, spending a good minute on making sure that you understand it's a dangerous place. Though you'll do better riding around it. The northern road is the safest, he concludes. After you insist that any sort of guidance could be of use, he scratches the wolf's head. Well, I've heard from a friend that gnolls were moving there. They're very small beast folks, you know? He moves an open hand close to his hips, portraying the height. They'll threaten you until you give them some meat, and that's all they eat. No fruits, no, bones? But it's the fright apes that scare me the most. There's an entire family of them. Trust me, if you ever hear the terrible scream of a human somewhere in the tree crowns, you just run as fast as you can. Don't seek it, and certainly don't fight it. Just ride as fast as you can. Hey, what do you think about Elah? What's your read on Elah? He repeats your question, making sure he heard correctly, then scratches the wolf's head. I respect him. He took good care of me as an older brother. He's boring, you know that, and hides a lot behind those smiles of his. He spends days in the workshop, thinking we may both be as we... Let me try that again. Let me just take that line from the top. He spends days in the workshop, thinking we may be both as weak as we are now and smart enough to prosper. There's work to be done. He mimics the carpenter's cadence. Aye, there always is. You want to ask about the weakness, but he gives you no time to speak. There's almost no folks from the older generation left, did you notice? Foggy and old Hava are the only two still capable of doing work, but they aren't getting any younger, and are already wounded. You think about the tavern keeper's lost arm. We were always lacking in numbers, blades, tools, and skills. The beast took many souls, but Elah won't talk about it. He'd rather forget them and tie this place to the other villages, making us merchants and rotten carpenters. He adjusts his cloak, boiling from frustration, then risk the lives of the younger tribesfolk on training and hunting. We'd suffered so much, yet we're becoming even weaker. Okay, he is not at all down with Elah's plan of sort of improving in the city way and making a living off of that. So, are you the only hunter around then? But of course not. He takes a suspiciously long pause. 7 of us. The tribe is small. We have enough food without daily trips. If we catch too much meat, it spoils, so it's better to let the animals feel safe. You try to change the topic, but the man suddenly looks around and lowers his wolf's head. Well, there's just one issue. 3 of my friends left the village just a few days ago, and they haven't returned yet. But they should. Elah's gonna ask questions, and soon. So, okay, aren't you worried about them? He walks around, from time to time looking at you with an open mouth, not sure how to start. He takes off his heavy cloak and looks you in the eyes. They left for a few days to seek and kill some big game, each of them a different one, then bring all of them for me to judge. His confident voice falters when he mentions his own part. The winner would have caught me the prey of greatest size, rarity, utility, and of the greatest threat. Okay, so you held a contest to see who was most likely to try to get themselves killed by a wild animal that they shouldn't be around. Does your tribe often send lone hunters? Why not work in groups? Well, this isn't a hunt, but a competition. The winner names their first child. I've heard their arguments. You wouldn't believe how hard it is to pick a name when you have 3 parents. He chuckles to himself. Once the memory fades, he gets serious again. But I can't disagree with you, friend. It's the first time in many years since my tribesfolk have gone on such a reckless trip, and I fear it may remind us why the peninsula isn't a place for adventurers. Sorry, adventurers. Alright, tell me a little bit more about them. Well, they're hunters and fighters, but also close friends. If one of them was in trouble, the others would have done all they could to help. They've been a team for years, and we're planning to start a family this winter, you know? Their last big adventure before Dahlia's belly locks her at home. He gives you quite a tale of their deeds and features. Dahlia is the bravest of them, with strong legs. She has simple ways and looks for beasts in the open by the roads. Her hair is light, always tied in a single braid. Admon is a man who seeks paths and challenges. He believes that seeking knowledge of the peninsula will bring the tribe ways to survive hardships. Okay, Admon and I think would get along. He is smaller than the others, and knows more about dressing the wild game than any of us. His arms are small, so he often places traps. His hair is a bit darker than Dahlia's, but short, just like his beard. Vashel is not a man, although they were born with a prick. Do you need to volunteer that information to every stranger you meet? And wears browns and greens to blend in with the trees. They hunt like a gargoyle, hiding among leaves, jumping at a creature when it gets close. Because of that, they have often roamed in the woods, even those that are far from the village. Okay, well, I'm definitely going to try to find them. That seems like a critically important thing to do tomorrow, because I sure would like it if they were alive. Let's say I were to find them. What should I tell them? Have you no shred of optimism? Maybe they're fine. Just tell them to come home. We've got enough wood and food to start the next feast. And I have a hint that an honorable guest may be welcome there. He smiles at you, and for a moment you think you see the wolf's head wink. I want to believe that happened. That's probably what's driving that. Look, this sounds serious, and I do want to help, but if you want me to look for them, I still deserve a reward. Isn't helping 3 young, strong souls enough? Seeing your look, he raises his voice, draws his obsidian-edged club, and touches his chest with it. Then I will loyally assist you, friend. For your brave deeds, you may count on me on a day of great challenge. And as he lowers his weapon, he winks at you, and others will be grateful as well. You know that. Fine. Where should I start? He looks at you as if you're slow. Well, I would have found them myself if I knew, eh? Let the horse take you to other settlements. Ask there. All right, for a person who's trying to get an awful lot of work out of me without actually paying, you're very rude. I'll tell you if I find anything. Am I gonna press? We need money. This is like a thing, right? So our character is in the moment wrestling with the natural urge to be helpful, and also, thinking that as a Roadwarden, presenting as a person who solves problems competently and quickly is definitely of high value. And then, the fact that we need an awful lot of money by the time we're done here. I'll tell you if I find anything. Thanks, friend. And if all you have is a tale of their dead shells, bring me something to prove it, aye? A trinket, a weapon, a thing we can throw into a pyre. Let's hope that it doesn't come to that. Hey, does this rawhide belong to your tribe? He gives it only a glance, then throws it away. I think so. After you describe where you found it, he reaches toward the wolf's head, but doesn't touch it. Me and the other hunters go to this place in spring when there's fewer beasts around, and sit on blankets, eat before the hunt. Maybe you'll find a trail there. Okay, yeah, I'll tell you if I find anything. If we are in fact going to have to go back there, maybe I should get those earplugs. Say, do the hunters from Pelt of the North ever hinder your job? They only get closer when they chase after wounded prey, so our woods stay mostly the same. You could have another village twice our size, halfway from here to Pelt, and there would still be more than enough game for every belly, as long as they would forage and set up farms. You ask him if he's ever considered joining professional hunters. but he takes off the wolf's head and gives it to you so you can take a better look. It's weirdly warm from the sun. That's the only wolf any of us felled in the last 5 years, you see? Not that we're cowards. He suddenly raises his voice. Our trade just isn't like the big game hunters. I place fish traps, put glue to catch birds, shoot rocks at rats and rabbits. When in a group, we may seek roe deer or aurochs. He takes the hat back and looks at it with nostalgia. Those in the inn seek trophies, not meat, so they hunt for big beasts, ones that, fight back. Our ways are different, but I like that bunch. At least they smile, unlike others in the peninsula. Hunters will always find a common tongue. Once you see enough blood and guts, you have to laugh, or go crazy. Yeah, I guess so. Look, I'll tell you if I find anything. Good hunting. Let me go back to Old Harbor real quick. About those earplugs. 2 food rations and 3 dragon bones right now. I will give her a dragon bone. Would a dragon bone cover it? She chews her bottom lip. I'd never ask for so much, but if you insist. She orders the farmer to bring her a knife. After a few minutes, you hold a new pair of earplugs. I know that the exchange rate there makes a ration much less valuable than a dragon bone, but also, you can't eat dragon bone. Alright, I approach the shallow creek. With the calming sounds of the waterfall around you, you observe the stream as clean as a spring. The oak ash soap you own is not enough to help you get cleaner. No, I'm actually in really good shape right now. I just need my clothes mended. Alright, let us seek shelter. Okay, it's too dangerous to stay here. They mean it. We are not allowed to sleep here. Alright, well, I won't get to Foggy's. Oh, no, I will get to Foggy's. I wouldn't make it to the Northern Road. Wow, we are, really pressing it, huh? Alright, yeah, back to Foggy's. We will spend a non-optimal night at Foggy's. I was hoping that, this place would be a little bit better off. Creeks would be a little better off. The surface of the lake is restless, and the cold wind strikes the tavern's hanging barrel again and again. You adjust your cloak. Sort of a weird symbol, huh? You spot a baited claptrap near the palisade. Let's just go inside. Someone is snorting in the attic. Foggy is resting on a chair, observing you with a single open eye. She welcomes you with a gentle nod. Right, I need to make a decision about sleeping. So, we could sleep in the main hall. The bear fur will be a fine sleeping spot, but your horse will disturb your rest, and in the morning you'll have to clean after it. So, pretty bad news, but it's free. Or we could sleep in the attic. The staff will help you take care of your mount's filth. We'll still get hungry, we'll still lose some of this. I think I'm just gonna sleep in the main hall. We don't actually need the vitality benefit. There's lots of ways to get clean again. There's lots of places to get food. And I want to save the coin, I think. We can pay with 2 rations instead, but that seems very unwise. Am I being foolish? If you do this, I'm paying a coin to gain 1 point of appearance and 1 point of vitality. And points of vitality are potentially valuable. I'm just going to do this one. The sounds of rain wake you up briefly. Before you return to sleep, you think about your plans. Riding in the mud is difficult. Agro will have a rough time, especially on unpaved grounds. It may be a good day to take a break at an inn. The monstrous shouts wake you up. The night is bright, and from the window of the tavern you have a good look at the yard. A few massive dragonlings are exploring the courtyard, knocking over wooden tools with their tails, putting their noses into buckets and underneath the stairs. You count 5 of them so far, but you can't see the entire area at once. One of them spots your look and moves closer. Still, it doesn't try to climb to the door. Maybe it's experienced enough to know it won't get through. I mean, I can't do much, right? I Close the shutter slowly, I guess? I don't know, like, what is the difference, meaningfully, between these three options? I'm going to close the shutter slowly. It's an exhausting night. Agro keeps stepping in place or walking, taking only short naps. You can't count how many times you try to calm it down, with your voice, touch, by offering it water or a snack, but nothing helps. You close your eyes for an hour or so in the late morning, then clean up after your mount. The stench alone is disarming. Yeah, it was not ideal. So, I'm gonna go outside here. Could wash myself in the lake, maybe? You enter the bridge and move to its edge. Somewhere below you, you notice a glimmer. Hey, you! Step back! Run! Without even thinking, you leap toward the yard. A long, teeth-filled mouth breaks the water's surface, splashing in every direction. It bites the empty place where you were just standing, while the front limbs, thick-scaled and ending with claws as large as your fingers, land on the wood. Once the saurian's yellow eyes notice that you're outside of its reach, it nonchalantly slides back into the lake. Yeah, alright. You hear laughter coming from the yard. The large forager, who was wearing leather, was running with help, but now stands with hands on his thighs, cackling without rest. The man in black fur, on the other hand, looks at you with worry. You see a hand kept beneath his cloak, as if he was reaching for something. What are you doing, eh? The lake isn't for outsiders. Okay, well maybe warn me first? No, I'm gonna thank them for the warning. I'll stay away, don't you worry. He just nods and gestures for his companion to cut it. They both move toward the gate. Yeah, I kind of thought that it was not going to be safe, but I was curious. So, I guess we didn't properly meet them the other day. Once the man in black hears your steps, he nudges his companion and nods toward you. They put away the old noose traps they were trying to fix, proper for hares and small birds. The tall one spreads his arms, thundering his loud welcome. A Roadwarden, eh? I guess we're going to see each other a lot. I'm Ilan, and the shorty here is Zvi, I guess? The man in the black fur looks up, frowning. There's also the one-handed man you saw in the attic. Unlike the rest of the staff, he has an unkempt beard and worn clothes made of blue fabric, patched with scraps of flour sacks. He's looking down to examine a trap, but his shoulders are slumped, eyes absent. Ilan doesn't introduce him. Samhain, nice to meet you. Ilan smiles. Were you at Pelt to the North yet, friend? He blushes. How is Dalit doing? Oh, is that the one with the yellow armor? She's, well, seems to keep the whole crew together. Ah, that's her. A lively color, eh? Yellow? He smiles, but you catch a hint of envy in his voice. Better say hi to her for us. Her boss was looking for hard drinks and healing potions. I wish I could have helped her. He glances at his companion, who's currently observing a column of ants running along the palisade. They were offering good prices, and she was really good at dice, and told us about so many monsters. Zvi adjusts his black cloak. Our traps won't fix themselves. What brings you to us? Ilan frowns at this interruption, but says nothing. That's very interesting. Sounds like maybe Ilan's got a little bit of a crush. Hey, Edmund, Dahlia, and Vashel didn't return from their hunting trip. Did they share any plans with you? Why would they? Growls Zvi. They don't waste our time, we don't bother with theirs. Ilan's eyes are a bit warmer. Afrin already asked us. They ate there on the stairs, then left days ago. They didn't want to get in each other's way, so they planned to spread, that's all I know. Seeing your look, he spreads his arms in an awkward shrug. They were laughing, eating, all confident and strong. I didn't know they'd disappear. You consider his words when the shorter man starts to snap his fingers. Wait, I heard one thing. Something about, that they won't go north because of the dark magic in the tunnel. Oh, then it's smart of them, concludes Ilan with a humble smile. Better than nothing, eh? I'm sure they're fine. Yeah. I turn toward the one without a hand. Hey, do you know Tulia? The man gives you a surprised glance, but then looks down and crosses his arms, holding his hand under his shoulder. I'm a new man now. There's nothing that ties me to the army. He has the accent of the city folk, same as yours. Well, to get here, you've crossed a great part of this land, greater than most. Have you seen anything unusual? He takes a deep breath, his voice close to a whisper. There's fog in my soul. I was on the Eastern Road, hungry and sick, praying for the right to send its beasts on me and save me the pain of living. I remember the touch of fur, the breath on my neck, the claws pinning me to the ground. I was waiting with my eyes closed. Then I woke up in the middle of the night, still feeling. Got back on my feet, walking until I reached the lights of this tavern, without so much as a bruise. Yeah, Foggy may have no faith in her heart, but the right used her kindness to give me a second chance. Ilan frowns at the man's words, and there's cautiousness in his voice. He may be crazy, but it's true he came here after midnight, raving. Maybe the monsters don't like his scent. So what, you just forgot everything? He hides his stump in the palm of his hand and curls up. I've seen a dragon eating a tree, an ape that tore away the head of a monstrous cat, and a wolf without fur that was as quick as lightning. Now leave me alone, evil spirit. Let my shame rest. He's shaking. Now let him be, eh? Svi grunts at you. Nothing wrong about a man trying to forget. Ilan rubs his chin. A furless wolf, friend. I've heard about one. Our tribesfolk saw it in the heart of the woods. Nasty beast. Let's hope it won't find a mate for breeding. It charges at you like a runner and jumps right at your throat. He touches his neck. So even the hunters stay away from it. Too bad we've no crossbows. He raises his wooden club. Aye, better to avoid the deep woods without one. Yeah, okay. Also, the game UI is telling us that his name is Caius. Is that a thing we knew? Did Tulia tell us the name of the guy that just went missing? Maybe she did. Maybe that's why we know. So, what's your plan? I could use some work. Svi nods, and Ilan's voice gets even louder. Glad to hear that. There's hardly any fruits left around here, and even fewer mushrooms. So we're planning to do some bird catching, a hunt without killing. Maybe not today, but in 6 days, maybe a bit later. What do you say? Well, wait, why would you need my help with birds? Don't you just let them walk into traps? Ilan glances at the cords used for snares. Oh, these won't do. We want to catch a runner this big. He raises his muscular arm and stops it, maybe a foot above his head, and bring it here alive. We want its meat for later. The man with one hand interrupts him. His voice is weak but disdainful. Beasts ought to be dealt with, not tamed. Bonding with monsters brings only death. Well, it'll bring us full bellies in the winter, squawks Svi. I can't leave my horse behind. Oh, I wouldn't worry about it. Ilan waves a hand just like his mother. The idiot will take care of it. The one-handed man starts to object, but a harsh shut up from Svi makes him sigh. His shoulders sag. Ilan goes on. He's a loony, would stumble over his own feet on a trip, but does what he needs when he's told to. And you know he won't steal it. He hates animals. How much do you pay? Well, I mean, it may be a scary trip, but it won't take that long. Ilan shrugs. Just show up here at noon or before it. We'll be back in a few hours. You'll get 5 dragons, or 2 if the bird dies. It's a good price for one afternoon, right? Actually, yes, it is. What are you going to do with the catch? We'll tether it to the palisade for a day or 2, then take it to Creeks. Our tribesfolk have enough space to look after it through autumn. Maybe it'll drop a few eggs. Even if not, it's fresh food. Okay, sorry, what's your plan exactly? Ilan grabs a rope and shakes it in front of you. We'll catch its neck. Your part would be to keep it from running. Don't hurt it, just make it busy enough for us to surround it. Huh. Sounds really dangerous, actually. That's why we want you to do the rough part, Svi smirks. We're just foragers. A Roadwarden knows how to fight, eh? At least it's on its own, without its flock. So you're gonna put me in front of a large beast for just 5 dragons. That's bullshit. I feel better haggling with these guys than with the people over at Creeks. You haggle for a bit. While Ilan gets easily convinced, it's Svi who cuts your conversation short. Even if his voice is croaky, it's also firm. You'll get 8. Ask for more and we'd do better buying food in howlers. Yeah, alright, I'll be back in 6 days or soon after. Ilan grins. Do so. We still need to prepare, and you better do so as well. But don't make us wait for long. Let's not test the bird's patience. Just come one day before afternoon. Okay. What can you tell me about the peninsula while I'm here having a conversation? Svi lets out a sigh. Not much to see here, eh? Trees, rocks, ponds. I've never been in howlers, he starts, but then Ilan chips in. I have, a couple of times. Nice place, kind folks, lots of grain. They have but one trader, Akakios. He pays poorly, but at least he doesn't waste one's time. Gets straight to the point, see? He thinks for a bit. Oh, and they're all so tall. Twice as tall as he is. He points at Svi, who frowns and squeaks back at him. Bullshit. You gossip for the next few minutes, but the things they share with you are of little use. They end up saying you should talk with Foggy instead. She used to travel a lot and speaks with every visitor. And do you often have travelers here? Ilan's voice is like thunder. Nah, you may very well be the last one this season. Sometimes a group of adventurers, who knows why, and southern traders in spring and autumn. Most of our visitors are from the villages, usually creeks and Gale Rocks. They leave goods at our place or just outside, and my ma barters in their name with the others. I mean, rocks, timber, furs, and barreled fish can wait a few days. Yeah, I guess so. Alright. I'm done with y'all then. Let me re-enter the tavern here. Oops, talk to Foggy. Hey, I just spoke with Caius. I wonder, why did you decide to keep him around? Huh. Do I need a reason? Her amused eyes get thoughtful as she looks at the ceiling. They came here as a poor soul in need, taught only how to use a spear and shield. I know how it feels to have all that you're good at taken away from you. She straightens up and hits her chest with her fist. But so I know that new paths await us, with or without the help of others. Caius' legs may be buried in despair, but I'm ready to throw him a shovel once he asks for it. He pauses, then looks through the window. Though these fantasies of him won't help him ask anytime soon. They swallow his thoughts. Okay, I have some questions about the peninsula. No, I don't. Never mind. We still need to get to Old Pagos, which is going to require a bunch of travel westward. And I guess, yeah, we're not going to get anything meaningful out of her until after we've done that. So I suppose it's time for me to go. I am not going to try to do any alchemy. Well, hold on. What was it was the sharpening potion was... No, what was the one that the piece of driftwood was for? Was it the withering dust? Yes. A bog friend picked in the middle of the day. Okay. The ointment that could help me at the ford. This would be all of my food, but we're headed west today, and we have good reason to think we'll go back to Howler's Dell soon. So maybe I should do it. I better get to foraging then? You lost 2 food rations. The herbs you're looking for, such as basil, mint, and lavender, are common around here. You wash them with care and bring them all back to the table, where you start with your knife and end with a mortar. It would feel like cooking if it wasn't for the smell. Harsh, overwhelming. It makes you sneeze more than once. You add a drop of linseed oil, and the leaves blend into a green and blue ointment. I wash one of the jars on a shelf and use it to store the balm. Okay. So, no food, but we do have 2 coins, which is something. And I think we're gonna We're gonna head all the way back to the crossroads, right? Hold on, can I just use the... Do I need to use the balm, or... While edible, it won't fill an angry stomach. Safe for human skin. So I can't tell if it's still the case that we're being slowed down. It seems like it shouldn't take an hour and 15 minutes to ride from here to there. So do I need to come to the ford and, like, intentionally, like, take the moment to use the stuff? I'm worried that going down is just going to take us into the heart of the wood, right? Let's go to the ford and do the thing manually just to make sure it's done. Alright, time to test the ointment I carry in my bundles. You open the ointment, getting hit by the unappetizing scent of lavender, mint, and basil. You apply a thin layer of balm to your open skin as well as to a few spread out spots on aggro. You hope the smell won't stay for long. You carry on. The swarm notices you right away, gliding at you like a dark boulder. But before you collide with it, it shatters, forming a tunnel in the middle, though buzzing even louder than before. A few extraordinarily resilient gnats still sit on your horse's back, so you try to throw them off. Okay, riding this path is easier from now on. That does not, in fact, change the time, so I guess it would have already calculated the difference there. Well, let's go west from the thing. The path is clear, in a way. The pebbler is nowhere in sight, but the road is covered with leaves and broken branches. The only fruit-bearing trees are growing right on the sides of the road, surely planted there by humans. There are plenty of fruits and leaves the monster may chew on, so it may return any day now. If it craves what this place has to offer so much, I should just get rid of its food. It may be a tiresome task, but at least I'll gather some fruits for myself. Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea, actually. 3 bunches of wild plants. Got myself real dirty and sweaty while doing it. You prepare all your tools, especially your thick protective gloves, and tether aggro to one of the younger trees. It's not an easy task. You spend about 2 hours cutting down twigs, shaking off the fruits of the thinner branches, picking them by hand or hitting them with a stick. Your rope helps you stay secure, and the first few minutes of climbing is closer to fun than work, but the longer it takes, the more tired you become. You finally take a break to eat a couple of plums and apples, but the best ones you save for later, covering them with a blanket and putting it on the very top of your bundles. You're standing on a carpet of greens, browns, reds, and purples. You drag some of the thicker branches to the side to make riding forward easier, but the earthworms and boars are going to have a feast. Let's hope the pebbler's picky enough to ignore all the mess on the ground. I mean, it's pretty tall, right? It doesn't necessarily want to eat off the ground. The corridor of pruned trees leads you to a steep ascent. Behind them grows a peaceful meadow filled with flowers and crickets, and the humming of a waterfall. On the beaten path you spot no footprints or wheel trails, but there's smoke on the horizon. I dismount and lead Agra on a rope. The pastures and fields are spread over an unnatural plateau. Humans must have been carving in the hill for generations, covering it with soil brought here in buckets and wagons. Among the weeds and tall grasses you spot rotting tools and a tunic. The pasture is overgrowing, and so do the fields. Some of the oats are ready for harvest. And something is wrong. I better caught with axe in hand when I don't need it than the other way around, right? The locked gate is taller than a troll, and you can't imagine climbing up the massive wall. For a moment, you follow the path to the edge of the cliff. The roaring ocean is more than 100 feet below you. You spot no one looking at you from the watchtower, no patrols of archers. The wall is occupied by black and blue birds of various types. You return to the gate and focus on the sounds. There are a few screaming ibexes. A young boy is crying. I knock on the gate with the handle of my weapon. The thudding scares away the birds. They caw loudly, starting the cacophony of throats and flapping wings. After maybe a minute, you hear a bronze plate scratching against the wood as someone reveals the peephole. The strict female voice stops you from moving closer. Traveler, old Pagos is secluding, for it has been smitten by a deadly plague. Be gone, before you get sick. We were told the people of Pagos were Likely to be chill as long as we didn't make fun of their gods, right? Yeah, don't mock their order, act nice. They'll also be kind. They're too serious for him to stand them, but at least they don't bite without reason. Now, of course, all of that is, in normal times. As we all know, people get to acting kind of crazy when there's a plague about. I'm gonna try to be friendly here. Okay, do you need any help? I'm the new Roadwarden. No one can save us. You look into the young brown eyes that match the skin of the black-haired owner. While the woman looks like a southerner, she has a strong local accent. She follows you cautiously, without blinking, like a fighter awaiting a strike. North from here, in the monastery, live masters of spells and potions, blessed people guided by the right themselves, and even they are powerless. You hear more footsteps gathering near the entrance. May them be blessed, for they look after our ill, a weak voice of an elder chips in. We thank you, Warden, the woman continues. We can't know how many of us will see the winter. If you really want to help us, warn the other tribes. They wouldn't move a finger for us, but we ought to protect them. Well, there must be something I can do. After she blinks, you catch the sadness in her eyes. I've heard such words more times than I can count. We've done all that we could. What's left is to ask the right to ease our pain and wait. Okay, well, can I ask you questions through the door while I'm here? Ask, but there's not much we can do for you. We see no one, we travel nowhere. We were born on this hill, and we'll die here. After a few breaths, her eyes get kinder. I'm Tertia. If you bring any news, I'll take them to our council. Okay, well, it seems like we're past the hour mark here, but also it seems like this is not going to be a very long conversation, so I guess let's just go for it. Tell me more about this illness. What does it do? She glances at someone or something that stands to her right. Well, it lasts a long time. Even those who seem to avoid death remain weak for days. There are fevers, headaches, red faces, red eyes, and rash. Those whom we had to burn were sleeping and raving, unable to understand us, and got too weak to move or even drink. She looks down. Children and elderly suffer the most. Yeah, don't you want me to ask the other villages for help? No, there's no love between us and them. We don't share drinks, stories, or dances. If it weren't for marriages, our children would never see each other, and if it wasn't for trade, we could just as well live on a mountain peak. They need our stone, we need fishes and salt from Gale Rocks, game meat from creeks, and grain from Howler's Dell. But all of them are harpies, led by greed and lust, the same ills that wounded our grandparents. She hesitates and looks to her left. Still, the wicked souls of White Marshes are even more burrowed in shadows. Sounds like you hold a grudge against them. She takes a deep breath. Yet I won't spread any rumors. As much as it saddens me, they need us to survive, and we need them. And yet even stranger to us than they are. And you're even stranger to us than they are. This seems like a wild thing to say, given the situation. We're not going to ask about that. I'm looking for Asterion, the previous Roadwarden. You can't tell anything from her eyes. Isn't he dead? What makes you think that? Well, I'd say that about any traveler who disappeared in the wilds. Wardens may know their roads, but they're not above humans. Don't you know the saying? Wait 2 days for the lost, 10 for the wounded, 20 for the ill and the mad. You don't wait for more. So you were waiting for him. Well, that's not much of a secret. She looks to her right, then at you again. Head far east to the crossroads. You'll find a watchtower, an old building made of our stone. You notice the pride in her voice, but hardly used since the war. Your friend wanted to turn it into a shelter, hire guards, patrol the roads. He took our key and rode away. He was meant to meet with us again, trade for materials and tools, but it never happened. Any idea who else could have such a key? Before it was completed, the builders were spending the rainy days in the coastal village in the far north. Gale Rocks, it's called? Ask there. Yeah, are there any hunters from creeks locked in there with you by chance? She frowns. Now, you're the first soul who came here in a very long time. And were you bothered by any bandits in recent seasons? Not in years, Warden. They did attack us on the road once before, but their little pack won't come here. At first her tone is gentle, but after she blinks twice it turns solemn. Or they would face our anger. Our walls fear only dragons, and our blades are made of steel. Huh. Hey, why aren't you harvesting your crops? Even though her cold gaze doesn't break, her voice betrays her pain. Some of our youth refuse to stay behind the walls. They say they need to leave before they fall sick. If we were to let them outside, one of them could refuse to come back. You frown. No, that wasn't pain you heard. It's shame. I kind of wish I could press on that, because, like, I guess there's very little likelihood I could change their minds. Some person from the outside talking through a door, but, like, that is some grim shit. Okay, which way would you take if you were to travel to the Watchtower? I'm assuming this is east at the crossroads. Well, the northern route, most likely. There's more tribes there, but the eastern road is dangerous, no matter from which way you're going to enter it. Oh, so she means east. Okay. But if you care about time, you could check on the gate, though opening it on your own may not be easy. It used to be that our guards were keeping it open for the travelers, but the last one that we sent away, Quintus, is either dead or seeking refuge in another village. Still, behind the gate you'll find the shortcut. It's a dangerous path, but your palfrey might be just fast enough to get you to the other end. You ask her what she can tell you about this gatekeeper, and she gives you a warm look. He may not be of the sharpest of wits, but he's loyal to his duty and returns kindness with kindness, like we all should. Huh. So, I have some vegetables and just enough coins to stay the night indoors at Howler's Dell, so I don't think I'm necessarily interested in trading, but I'm going to ask anyway. We have hardly enough for ourselves. We used to get supplies for rocks and sculptures, but the monks advised us against it. Our wares may carry the illness. Yeah, okay. And then I just bailed. So 145. We have enough time to continue looking around for the moment, I think. You ascend a gentle hill with green thickets coating the valleys. The path is like an endless bridge built by the ancient three-legged giants, or maybe by the pagan spellcasters. The higher you get, the fewer plants you see. Hit by a cold wind, you adjust your cloak. I ride slowly, sitting in the center of the saddle. Mountains are harsh for horses. You approach the raised drawbridge and observe the face of the mountain. The hooks holding the hourglass are as large as a person, displaying their devotion to the right proudly. Seems like a terrible waste of steel to me. The rustling of leaves carries no songs of birds, shouts of apes, or whines of hunted critters. The river attacks its banks with a fierce roar. You get off your palfrey. The cave mouths are connected by paths, stairs, and bridges. You don't see any people, but there's smoke coming from one of the entrances, and you hear muffled thuds of a hammer. The gardens are weeded, the buildings firm. The green trees on top of the mountain bear red and brown fruits. 2 rounded sticks are tied with a rope to a nearby rock. You grab them and take a closer look. They're claves. I mean, there's no reason not to seem friendly here at the gate. I make a few firm hits and shout a greeting at anyone who shows up near the building. You know what? I should really stop. I'm going to keep getting distracted and keep wandering off on the new things. Okay, we're going to enter this and speak to the people in here proper next time. I need to call it for today. First of all, my voice is giving out, and secondly, I have other stuff I need to get to. I got to manage my time a little bit better than I've been doing. So that's going to be it for us for today. Thank you all so much for watching. When y'all come back next time, We're going to put a couple more towns on our map, hopefully, and then get back, turn in some tasks, maybe make a little bit of money, and hopefully start to establish some actual steady footing here. Because I still feel like we are just right on the edge of disaster, and it's making me very uncomfortable. So come back next time for the solidification, and we'll see you then.